Well, hello, guys. You're listening to Beauty Bites with Dr. K, Secrets of a Plastic Surgeon, and it's time for a podcast. And I am excited to interview Naomi Olindo today. You might have seen her on the cast of Bravo's TV show Southern Charm. She left reality TV, and in 2019, she launched an e-commerce clothing company called La Bae. Am I saying it right there, Naomi?
Yes, La Bae. Yes.
La Bae. I did take French. Along with her friend and business partner, Jenny Cox. And she is loving life right now outside of the spotlight. But we're going to chat today because she, like me, is a woman who's all about transparency and women empowerment, letting people do what they want with their face, their body, Botox and fillers. Welcome to the podcast, Naomi.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited.
You are an entrepreneur, a world traveler, and an actress, former actress, and now you've launched a clothing company. What possessed you to go into clothing line?
Well, it really started as a hobby. I never thought that I would actually, be running a clothing business, but I was, through gaining like a small following with the show and everything, one of my friends, Landon, introduced me to Like to Know It. And she's like, you link your outfit, it links where you got it from, and all these people will buy it and you can make money. And so I was doing that for a while and then just thought, why am I not just selling my own clothes on this thing? So that's kind of what inspired it. And then Jenny and I did it together, and we're having a lot of fun. It's just something we kind of fell into, but we love it.
That's awesome. How would you describe your clothing line? What type of clothing is it?
We try to have a little bit for everybody, but it's really just like effortless style for, a modern girl. Like we want to have something that everybody's comfortable in, pieces that are a little bit more classic. And then sometimes we'll throw in a little funky something here and there, but we try to have something for everybody.
And then talk a little bit about being a French woman, because I am kind of obsessed with this idea that the French women have mastered beauty, and effortlessly they are able to eat just the right amount, not get fat, wear just the right amount of chic, not overstuff their closets, and do just the right amount to their faces and not look overfilled. So what is it about the French aesthetic?
Yeah, so I think that that's just what I would describe as the French way. I have lived in the US since I was 9. So I grew up watching my mom, have this certain like finesse and class that I just feel like I probably have not grown up having myself. But at least I know what it is. But I definitely know what you mean. And especially with the not overeating, like a lot of French people are just not overweight. And that is a big thing. If somebody gains a little bit of weight, your friends and family will be like, oh, you've gained a little weight, just work it off, no problem. Or if you do a little too much of something, a little too much Botox, a little too much filler, people will let you know. Where I feel like here, people might be a little bit more sensitive, but French people are incredibly direct. So you might be a lot more self-aware of what you're looking like.
Maybe all the self-acceptance is driving us to just let ourselves go a little bit.
Maybe.
In terms of beauty and plastic surgery, you're a big advocate for removing the stigma around doing things that generate self-improvement or self-love.
Yes.
And I am too. And I think it's so unrealistic when women see images of other women in social media who've had so much work and maintenance and management done, and yet they claim to drink green juice.
Yes, like
hydration with water. Yes.
I mean, why? It's almost like people think that it makes them, if somebody gets, great work done and they look a lot better afterwards, it's almost like they think that it will make them less beautiful if people know that, a doctor did it. But I cannot tell you how many people I know who've had something done. And I know because I asked them, I'm like, what did you do? Because I want to do it too. It looks great on you. And they tell me, but they're like, but don't tell anyone, but don't say anything. Or like, but my husband doesn't know, or I don't want people knowing that I've done this. I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I don't understand what's cool about keeping that a secret. Why does it matter?
I have the same experience because women will sit in my chair and say, I love you, Dr. K. But they don't want to tell their friends that they've had anything done, or they'll tell one friend and everybody else has to assume that they're naturally like that. And
Yes.
I believe we should share our beauty secrets. Like if I find something amazing, like brow laminating or microblading, like I'm telling everybody,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, exactly. And most people, they just don't want to look high maintenance, or they don't want to look like, I don't know, they what is that term?
Like they're overdone.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but a lot of people just think that it makes them less than if they've gotten help. But I'm like, it's still your face. You still own it technically. So do what you
Yeah.
want.
I don't think you can live 80 years without putting maintenance into your face. If you're not going to put a little bit of maintenance, you're going to lose your self-identity because, like, Mother Nature is savage. And
Oh yeah.
you will have drooping, deflation, volume changes. So there are things we can do
Yeah.
safely. So I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your experience on Southern Charm, the Bravo TV show, and what it was like to be in the public eye all the time, scrutinized. Did you feel like you had to look perfect every minute of every scene?
No, I don't think that I felt like that, because I think maybe the way that I came onto the show, it was never with an image of like looking perfect all the time. I was just literally a normal person. And so I feel like I stayed kind of a normal person somewhat throughout the experience. And I had a lot of fun doing it. It was a really, really good time until then it wasn't fun. And, I decided to walk away. I was having a lot of family issues. My dad was sick with cancer and unfortunately ended
Mhm.
up passing away right before filming started. And there were just a lot of reasons that I just thought, maybe this isn't the right direction for my life right now. And no,
Mm.
no regrets, no looking back. It was an amazing experience.
Mhm.
Um, I think people always say like, "Oh, did you get a nose job because people scrutinized you on TV?" And I'm like, "No, guys, I've been wanting a nose job for as long as I can remember. It's just doing the show finally let me have enough of my own money so that I didn't have to ask my dad to pay for it, and would have to depend on his answer if he was okay with it or not. So I woke up one morning, I finally had enough money, I knew how much it was going to cost, and I went to my parents' house. I was like, listen, I'm getting my nose done. I've wanted it forever. I've wanted it forever. I'm not asking you to pay for it. It's going to be this much. I'm going to New York and
Mhm.
I'm doing it. And my mom and dad looked at me, and my dad was like, okay. And then my mom gets up and she's like, I want to get my nose done too. And so we actually ended up going up there as a family. And I got my surgery at 8 a.m. and my mom went in at 1 p.m. And
Oh,
we
how
stayed in New
funny.
York for 2 weeks, and it was so fun. It was a great experience. And now it still looks like my mom and I are related because she got the same nose that I did.
How funny. Wait, who was your surgeon in New York?
Dr. Joshua Zim, he was incredible. I can't say enough good things about him. Um, an amazing human being, an amazing doctor, and he's done actually a lot of my friends now, and is about to do. I think we talked earlier through emails, and you were saying that you knew Helen Hall, who's a friend of mine, and she's gotten her nose done before too. But she is about to get a revision by Dr. Zim this summer. So I'm really
Oh, wow.
excited.
Small world.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the process of changing your nose. Did you feel like that was a whole change of self-identity? So like, as teens and adolescents, we grow up like fixated on I hate my nose and like, I really want to change it and I wish it was different. Did it just
Yeah.
change your
So
outlook and your confidence so much?
it definitely changed my confidence in certain aspects, right? I mean, that's why I did it. But I have to say, I was lucky enough to grow up with like a family that was always like, you, even when I didn't look great, they're like, you look great. Like, everything is perfect. You're doing good. So in the back of my mind, I always felt like solid, so it's not like a new nose changes my identity at all. I feel like, a solid, normal human being.
Yeah.
But it just made me, like the way that my nose looked in pictures a little better, or on camera a little bit better. And
Mhm.
why not? If I have the option to do that, why wouldn't I?
I love
So
that.
yeah.
And you recently got married. You married also a physician?
No.
No, not a physician. Okay.
Oh no, I'm not married.
You're not
No.
married? Okay, okay.
No,
We'll have to
no.
edit that. Okay. Oh, yeah. You know what? I'm sorry. Engaged?
Nope.
Not engaged either? Okay. I'm sorry, it's written on, it's not on your bio, but my assistant, somebody wrote
Oh,
that.
it's
So,
okay. It's
okay, we'll
okay.
be editing that.
No worries.
Sorry. Well, well, being a woman of many professional hats, you've gone to business school. Did that help you get your business off the ground, your new clothing business?
Oh yeah, definitely. I got my master's in finance, so I definitely run the books, and it helps. But I ended up going back to business school because my dad pushed me to do that. It was after the first year of doing the show, and I wasn't really sure the direction I wanted to go in, career wise. And he was like, "You'll never regret um, getting more of an education, so you need to just go and do it." So I did, and it's definitely given me a lot of confidence, at least in business, because obviously business school, you learn a lot. So
That's true.
very glad.
I mean, it's hard starting your own business. You start from like, I don't know about you, but I feel like we started from scratch with like finding skincare bottles and then a logo and then like just growing every single day and every little aspect
Yeah.
of it you have to learn. So I'm sure it's been the same with the clothing line. Have you started like a Shopify store and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, from the ground up. So it sounds similar to you, but what I just started realizing is that it would have been so helpful to have just one girl be like, "Hey, I heard you're trying to do this. Here's the advice that I can give you, and here's what I learned." I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping in not just, fashion industry, obviously, but in every industry.
Mhm.
And I find myself with my girlfriends that are wanting to start their own thing or whatever, writing out, spending hours and hours writing out these emails and these lists of like, here's what you need to do. Okay, this is where I messed up. So make sure you don't do this. I want to
Mhm.
help everybody do that too. I wish somebody had given me shortcuts in the beginning.
Oh my God, that sounds like a book you should write. Like
Yeah.
the beginner boss girl's guide to how
Yeah,
to
seriously.
like
Seriously.
avoid. I mean, I hear a lot of advice now on Clubhouse and these different entrepreneurs giving advice. And is there any tips and advice you'd give to someone just starting out in their business?
I think that what I wish I had done was probably started a little bit smaller, because coming from a business school background, I was, wanting to scale right away and grow really fast. And so I wish I'd started a little smaller. And then the other advice that I would give to anyone is just to stay as lean as possible in the beginning and make sure your overhead is as low as possible and just stay lean. Do not incur costs that you don't need. You can
Hmm.
do all the bells and whistles and all the fancy stuff when you can afford it.
That's so true. So many businesses like they have a little bit of money and then they're giving merch and free stuff to everybody. And then like next thing you know, you don't hear about them
Yeah.
anymore because they've just evaporated.
Yeah, yeah, which there is a science to, giving free merch, but there's so many, and I feel like I'm guilty of this too, but if I'll get, a PR package or something, I mean, some of these influencers that are getting all these PR packages, they're not going to always post about it. So it's costing you just have to have a huge budget basically to do that. And not everybody has that. There's a lot of people that um, are in the very infancy of an idea, and they think that, oh, they have to be so successful right away and they have to reach this level that they see these influencers are on, but they don't know so much about the behind the scenes. Like maybe the influencer is just the face and someone else is doing all the work, or maybe
Hmm.
they're just pretending that they're this successful and they're not. Fake it till you make it. There's just so much that I think gets people down on themselves, um, that shouldn't, because they don't see the full picture. They don't see the bad side of it.
That's 100% true. I think it is challenging working with influencers because, like you said, now there's this saturation where like they do receive like two, three, five packages a day, and
Yeah.
like, do they even post about it? That's been challenging. I think the word influencer has morphed into like almost like not a good term
Oh,
anymore. I
I
don't
mean, it's
know.
like a monster. Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible term, I feel like. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not as authentic because they are getting all this free stuff sent to them, and they're posting about it whether they like it or use it or not, and sort of just like a vicious cycle of who does the consumer trust?
Yeah.
Have you built trust with your brand? Do you have brand ambassadors? Have you like done any things that help people really identify with your brand?
Yeah, so we have an ambassador program, and we, there's a lot of activity there, but it's basically, we just give our girls their discounts. And then if they share on their story or whatever, then their followers can get discounts. And it's worked really well for us. I feel like we have very loyal customers. So I'm very, very thankful for that, because I know some other companies, their returning customer ratios are very different. So we're very grateful for that. But yeah, I mean, it's tough, because if somebody asked me today, how do you build a following? How do you, build a brand? I'd be like, I'm not really sure. I don't know. This day and age, it changes so fast. First it was Instagram, now it's TikTok, now it's Clubhouse. Then, you have to just do all this stuff. And I think a lot of people probably feel like they can't even keep up. I feel like that sometimes.
I do too, definitely. It's a
Yeah.
lot to balance. And you try to excel at one thing, but you kind of have to dabble in all of them.
Definitely. Yeah. You're supposed to be a photographer, a videographer, a stylist, an art director, an editor, like all these things that each thing is a job on its own. So yeah.
What inspired you to come up with the name for your brand, L'Abeille?
So I actually had just gone to a wedding in France for one of my cousins, and she got married in a place, it was an abbey, which in French, an abbey is called l'abbaye, and a bumblebee is called l'abeille. And so I just kind of morphed those two words together, and we incorporated a bumblebee into the logo, because I just, love bees.
Yeah.
And it was mainly because I put too much thought into the name, to be honest with you, because it was such a roadblock for so long. We couldn't find the perfect name. And we were like, you know what? I'm done worrying about the name. I want to actually get to work. Like, I'm not worrying about this anymore. We can always change it. We can always do whatever, but I want to actually start making money. I don't want to just pitter patter around. So done is better than perfect. And I know that's so hard to accept sometimes in business, because a lot of people are perfectionists. I am too, but that would a lot of time get in my way of actually finishing something, because it just wasn't perfect. And
so true.
It's way better to just get the damn thing done than it is to have it perfect the first time. You can always grow the brand. You can always make edits. People love to see it grow and evolve and change. And so if somebody has an idea, you've got to just do it, even if it's not perfect.
I fully agree. That was very difficult, like coming up with branding. Like even right now, I'm trying to think about changing my bottle brands and like obsessing about it. I'm at the point where I'm like, I'm just gonna keep the same logo, because what's the point?
Let me guess.
It's driving me insane.
Went around
it's
a
this
full
logo.
circle.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now I'm like,
I like the logo.
I think I'm gonna just keep the logo, because it's already out there. I have so many Instagram impressions of it. Like, do I really want to change it? It's kind of funny.
I hear you. I totally understand. It's hard.
And as much as you learn in school, business school or med school or wherever you go to school, like nothing beats like the school of just practical experience when you just start a brand and figure it out on your own. It's like, it's really fun. Yeah. Would you say it's stressful being an entrepreneur?
To be honest with you, not as much as I thought it would, but I think it's because I'm like, if it doesn't work, it'll still work. Like, there's just no taking no for an answer. So, and actually my friend Helen taught me that. She just goes into her business so fearlessly, and it's never even, she just doesn't even spend the time to be like, what if this doesn't work? What if, blah, blah, blah. She's just like, yeah, great. This will be great. Perfect. Go for it. And she just does it. And she has built a multi-million-dollar company that way. And it's just so cool to watch somebody. All it takes is just confidence, and she'd be like, yep, let's do it. Get it done.
Think like a man, basically. I feel like that's how men are taught to think like that, and women so often are taught to overanalyze and think. And how does everybody feel about it? Is it really, going to work?
Oh, no. I feel like at least the like my generation, I feel like that's changed so much with some of my girlfriends. It's the opposite. It's like the boys overthink, and the boys are like unsure and stuff, and the girls are like, yeah, we know what we want to do. We're doing it. It's awesome.
Well, tell me some of your top tips, being a woman of French origin. What should we incorporate into our daily routines that's so amazing that you learned, from your French upbringing?
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if these are tips for
Or
everybody, but this is
things
what
you
my
do,
experience
or
is.
yeah.
I mean, obviously a lot of walking, because there's a lot of metropolitan areas. So a lot of walking. People in France actually eat a lot of carbs, obviously. So I think that the whole
Hmm.
myth of stay away from carbs, you need to just cut out carbs completely, eat only protein. I remember my friend's mom's going on diets. What is it called? Like the Atkins diet, where you eat
Yeah,
only meat
pure
and proteins
protein.
for
Exactly.
2 weeks. That is, I could not even imagine. But yeah, so a lot of carbs and everything in moderation. That's really the golden rule. Just like
Hmm.
anything in life, in moderation.
I love that.
Yeah.
And also just, I think, French women have a certain elegance to them. They like that idea of paring down their outfits to just the essentials or the one piece of jewelry instead of 4 or 5 pieces, like kind of the
Yeah.
classic
Yeah.
advice, which applies to everything in life. It applies to your face, like, focus on one central feature of your beauty instead of like getting filler done everywhere. What's the one thing that's going to balance your facial features and harmonize, like kind of
Yeah.
focusing on that.
Is that sort of your mantra in your practice, is just to tell people? I mean, okay, so for example, I've always wanted to ask someone this. If somebody comes in to see you and they're like, I want, because some people, yeah, they want the cheek filler, the jawline filler, the lips, the
The
liquid
works.
rhinoplasty, the works. Okay, but sometimes their face just can't carry it. So
Yeah.
do you tell people, you're like, no, this isn't going to look good on you, or do you just
Oh, all the
do what they
time.
want? If they are like begging you, they're like, no, this is what I want, I'm paying, and you're like, nope, not doing it.
All the time, but mostly I'll educate. So I'll talk a lot about anatomy and proportions and how we could do what they want to do. But very often people come in complaining they feel jowly and heavy. And they all talk
Yeah.
about they want to do Kybella to melt the fat. And I will have to change the conversation to we actually want to lift and elevate the face upwards. So I almost do like three vertical stripes of lift at the temples, the cheeks, and the jawline. And that kind of lifts the entire face really pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And versus people come in and they want to get lips done and things that make them centrally heavy and pulled down more. So that's
Yeah.
always a huge thing because everybody wants to get their lips done, but I'm always all about like I would rather use those dollars to build foundation and prevent the aging changes. And lips is like icing on the cake. You can do that anytime,
Yeah.
but so I talk a lot about building foundation and having good proportions. I know you had chin filler done, so did you notice that that improved your lower face proportions?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I felt like from the side I had a little bit, I'm a mouth breather at night. And so, from years of mouth breathing, your jaw starts to sort of shift back. So I just wanted like a little, but she's like, "Look, we'll just start with a tiny bit and then we can add more as we go, but I'm not putting 4 syringes in your chin. It's just not what we're gonna do today." But
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, you're right. I mean, that's such a good point. Everybody just wants to go do their lips, but I I feel personally like a lot of my friends have been getting their lips dissolved and either started over or dissolved
Hmm.
and gotten just a tiny bit because product migration, and people are just looking so puffy. It's been overdone so like worldwide that
Hmm.
sometimes you're out and you just see a girl, you're like, ooh,
Yes,
honey, that lip
that's
filler looks bad.
and
Like, you
it's
gotta
hard
get
because
that out.
it's so hard because people's perception of where they are it
Yeah.
morphs in their head. They don't see the filler anymore, but we see it when we look at them.
Yep.
So, and they actually don't want more filler. They want the feeling of confidence and sexiness that they had when they left the chair that day. So that's what you're trying to
Yeah.
give them. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's so true that there's so much product migration, and now studies are showing that filler can be retained, even up to 10 years after it's injected. And some of the fillers are so swelly. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I
just,
believe that. I believe
yeah,
that totally.
I
I
think
feel like people need to get dissolved every few years and you just start over. I know that's probably really expensive, but I just feel like a clean slate every few years is, because you
I'm
forget what your old
Yeah,
face looked
I'm
like.
starting to think a little bit along those terms too, but I've also developed a technique of bony contouring. So using a
Oh,
product called Radius, which is a calcium-based product that's able to contour. I use it to kind of build along your natural cheekbones and along your natural jawline. So you can't really
yeah.
go wrong when you're following your facial bone contours. And as you
Yeah.
age, as you get older, you have a little osteoporosis and bone density changes. So you're actually really improving that back to more youthful, like 20 and 30-year-old bone densities. And so I think that's going to be like the new way of thinking about faces, is to do bony contouring to avoid the overfilled face, and to use these
Yeah.
products that are not so swelly. So that's kind
Yeah,
of
like a sharper contour.
yeah.
No, totally. I agree. I
Like
definitely agree.
it's like a better underground support, like, the facial skeleton is like the table, and then we're putting the tablecloth so it drapes just right. So that's
Yeah.
interesting. It's just this challenge to keep up with looking good. I think women have this extra pressure to be pretty, and we're in our 20s and in our teens, even in our 30s, we're valued for our beauty and, like, more marriageable, more able to find a mate, and everything revolves around like how pretty you are, which is such a societal thing. But
I
it's so
know.
important that we start teaching women that's, what kind of person are you? Are you good? Are you kind? Are you thoughtful? Are you intelligent? Are you smart?
Yeah, because when those looks fade, I feel like a lot of people have a full crisis because your entire life you've gotten by, on your looks. And because it's true. I mean, that's just what happens. Like a lot of people, oh, sorry.
There goes my poster. That
No,
is
you're good.
exactly what happens. And I see that all the time, and people are just like, they're desperate to like not age. I'm like, I'm sorry, we are going to
Yeah.
age. We have to accept it. We have to
Yeah.
definitely change the message to where you feel good about yourself because you're doing, things of value and better for society, better for,
Right.
yeah. So, I mean, it's interesting. I think, being in the film and television industry, you probably saw that a lot. But
Yeah. Yeah.
it's great that you've developed your entrepreneurship roles, and like really, you got to use all your thinking for business school. All of your other assets come into play besides just your beauty. You're obviously stunningly beautiful. You guys who are listening,
No,
we don't
thank
have a
you.
visual. We're looking at a beautiful, blonde. How old are you?
28.
28, like in the prime of your you look fabulous. But I love that you're so down to earth, and also so centered, and focused on much more important things, like, walking away from a TV show because life took precedence, and people matter more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny because during the show and everything, yeah, I mean, it was fun. You go out and like people recognize you and stuff, whatever, but it gets old really, really fast. And
Yeah.
all the people that kind of creep into your life, that you didn't maybe know before or whatever, the second that the limelight goes away, so do they. And the people that are with you are the people that stay with you, that are the same ones that have been with you since day one. I mean, my best friends are still just the same old idiots, that I've been with my whole life. And yeah, so
And
people
that's the
first is
best.
definitely a good motto. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best. Well, it's been so fun chatting with you. I hope
Yeah,
that
you too.
all of our podcast listeners will check out your line. Where can they find your Instagram and your clothing line, Lebe?
So my Instagram is Naomi_Olindo. Naomi spelled with an E at the end. Everybody forgets that. And my company is Shop Labey, Labeye.
I love it. And her clothing is fabulous. You guys have to check it out. And that's a huge accomplishment to just pivot and go into this industry and be doing so well. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yay. Well, au revoir on that note.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. I took French, but I kind of wish I'd taken Spanish in Southern California. But
Yeah,
took French in
no.
high school and college, but always a fan of beautiful French women holding it together and teaching us their French ways. So that's it for now, guys. Don't forget to find me on my Instagram doing amazing things with people's faces. It's Beauty by Dr. K, DRKAY. And that's where you can also find our skincare line. That's Katie Skin, and so many amazing products for your skin. I'm going to have to send you some. You're going to love my vitamin C serum and our hyaluronic acid. Those are so good for just a very simple and wonderful routine for your skin.
Yeah,
Love
that.
That's it for now, guys. Stay beautiful.